speaking of 4 months, welcome everybody to Cinema Ministry episode 16, the show where us three friends of over a decade get to know each other better through the media we consume. All right, we have 4 months. Not bad.
Yeah,
for
I just
boys.
realized how the math
That's
works. 16 weeks, 4 weeks. Oh my. Wow.
Lions and Bears.
yeah, better than anyone could have expected.
That's almost an entire, well, I guess not anymore, but almost an entire NFL season.
Yeah, we're almost there. If you give it 2 more weeks, we've watch out, NFL. Maybe we'll just do 18 weeks a year.
We'll take a hiatus. We'll do a draft. We'll do some trades.
There might be a new host. One of us will get traded to a different podcast. And there's just a new guy here. Bummer for them. Hard to imagine it would be a positive move for them to come here. But who knows? Maybe they'll Jared Goff it instead of being sent to misery. They'll end up on a good team.
It'll be a few rough episodes though. It'll be a journey. You got to face me a few times. Crazy storylines. Anyway, the media mashup.
Right, Chad, you're up first.
Yeah, so I actually had quite a few things I could talk about. I can do two, but I might just stick to one. So usually I kind of use these to kind of small recommend things that I've watched this week. This is the opposite. So have you guys seen or heard of the movie I.O. or E.O.?
Yes.
Don't look anything about this movie.
E-I-E-I-O?
No, it's not it kind of is on a farm. Anyway, so Josh, have you seen it?
No.
Okay. So the premise of this movie should be amazing. It is Margaret Qualley is a scientist on Earth.
I'm in.
On Earth, and Earth has been so polluted that the air is basically toxic. So as millions of people are dying, most of humanity leaves to go to a moon of Jupiter called Io or Eo, one of the two. I don't know. So it's basically Margaret Qualley's on Earth trying to save Earth, and this movie is so goddamn boring. It's not Margaret Qualley's fault. She's actually very good in this.
It's crazy with that setup though that you're like and couldn't do anything with that.
There's a decision made about a little over halfway through the movie that is so insane to me that I'm like, what? Why?
They switch mediums and they all become felt puppets.
No, that would be an improvement.
That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just not. There's like I said, it's just boring. And I kind of when I heard this prompt, it was like the opposite of The Martian, where it's just her on this planet basically. And there's a lot of inconsistencies. Like she has a boyfriend on Io or Eo, whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna say Io. His name is Elon, which is just sucks. But it's kind of revealed throughout the movie that Margaret Qualley's character, Sam, was born after everybody left. So it's like, how did she even meet this guy? I get long distance relationships, but like, what? How?
So her mother was still there?
Yeah. So her mom.
A different way they do birth in this film.
No, I guess mild spoilers. So her mom dies pretty much right away after she's maybe she's born. That's like So there are like pictures of her and her dad.
Are they hinting that she might be Jesus?
No, it's more like there's pictures of her and her dad like at a park, and you're like, how are you at a park when the air is supposed to be toxic? Anyway, so her mom dies pretty much right away. And then about a year before the movie, her dad dies. And so she's been alone for about a year. And like I said, that's not the dad being dead is you could just tell right away. But some things that are good about this movie is the kind of like visual representation of the toxic air. So it's not like the whole atmosphere is toxic. It's like a heavy cloud. So she's on like a foothill of a mountain. So at a certain point, she has like a line that's like everything below this, you need a mask. And everything above this, it's free air. And it does slowly kind of creep up. So she does kind of have a time limit. But when she's on the hill, like overlooking this, city, it's a very cool because it almost looks like water, but it's just like it's so thick that it looks like water, but it's just a fog basically. So that's cool, but the rest of the movie is just so boring. I know that the decision's about halfway through because I was like, holy cow, like we have to be getting towards the end if that's happening. So I checked the time and I was like, oh, it's only halfway through. The movie's only 90 minutes. Which reminds me. So a little story to go along with watching.
Bad time to freeze.
Uh-oh. Well. I wonder...
in this movie. So hear me?
Oh, there we go. You said you
Chad,
paused.
you're going to want to restart that story.
You paused.
Okay.
On the line, little story.
Yeah, so little story. So as I'm watching this, there's about 5 minutes left in this movie, and I start hearing commotion outside of my bedroom window. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. So I look at so I'm like, all right, this movie's got to be getting close to the end. So then with about 30 seconds left in the movie, I get a call from my mom. She's like, hey, can you come outside? I'm like, okay.
The air is toxic.
No. So I go out, or I finish the movie and I go outside and I see, I just sent it in the Facebook group. It is.
Did it get hit by lightning?
We don't know. It just kind of broke. So for the the non-visual people, it's a broken tree, there's a tree that kind of had two main branches, and one of the branches just snapped off. So I had some unexpected manual labor that night. But yeah, that was an interesting watch. It's to steal a term, it's a wreck of warn. But
was there a storm that night? Was it storming? Was there wind?
Yes.
Is there a madman on your street assaulting trees?
No. It's
like, honestly, I felt you were building this into like a horror thing, and I was like, what's the story behind it? I was like, who fucked up this tree? I was like, they skinned the tree. They ripped its limbs off and skinned part of it. Anyway.
No. There was like a really fast, storm that came through, and then it was calm for like a half hour, 45 minutes. While we were
I know exactly when you're talking. When we went from calm to hurricane winds for 45 seconds, and then back to normal.
Could you imagine being the tree and just being like, I can weather this storm. It's not even going to be a minute, and then it just rips you to pieces.
And the other trees are like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It was 30 seconds.
All bark, no bite.
Yeah. But that's my my crazy Monday night. So
Oh yeah, when I came, I got home and took Winston for a walk, and as the walk was finishing, you could see the storm was coming. So yeah, that was and yeah, it was very quick. I
do have a second one, but I can save it.
Well, you might have to use it because here's the problem. I had a very slow week, but in a movie watching sense. It was almost in an impressive way when I look back on it because I keep asking myself, you really didn't watch anything else? And no, you didn't.
Not even accidentally?
Yeah, like I was like, surely you had to, no? And I was like, I was like, okay, interesting. So I figured I was going to mention actually 2 TikTok channels I've been watching that I've been getting enjoyment out of. And then I was going to mention something that I was looking forward to watching. And then Josh decided to make that a segment, so it's going to be a slightly short.
Hey, TikTok is media. That's totally valid.
So there are 2 channels that they have this they both have recurring bits. One is just a recurring bit. The other one seems to be this is just kind of a recent thing that they're doing.
I pulled up TikTok so I could look it up. Did not realize the audio was on full blast. I know which one you're going to recommend. One of the 2 you're going to talk about because you send it like twice a day.
We'll see. So the first one is called Long-Haired Businessmen. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is just a bunch of guys doing this, doing corporate business, like just playing it straight. And they've all got these very long wigs on. And it's all about how, they don't really focus on it. They just have it. And they're just talking business jargon. And I just love the commitment to the bit. I just love J.K. Simmons is actually in one of them. And it's great. And it's
looking like Sephiroth.
And probably more in one, but of what I've seen. And it's just, I don't know. I just love just kind of how they're not mentioned. It's obviously it's in the title, but like it's not being mentioned. It's not being focused on. They're not like playing with their hair or anything. It's just, I don't know. I love the humor. And the other one is this recurring bit that I was a little more surprised but I kept seeing it and I was like, it was once again, it's kind of the commitment to it that I was enjoying. I could be wrong, but I believe the original account is shirts and pants with V's, and instead of and it's shirts VEN pants with a Z at the end, and it's called A Cowboy Puts On a Pair of Pants with 500 Layers of Wax. and it's just
starches his pants.
Oh, starch. I'm sorry, starch. It's this. These just pair of pants that are rigid. And he does it in all different settings. And he's just trying to put them on. And it's like kind of this. The narration's kind of like this, kind of like he's kind of got like a folksy old cowboy kind of voice, and it's just like the cowboy tries to put on his pair of starch pants. You've seen 100 starch pants. This is 500 starch. And I don't know. Like I said, I get enjoyment out of it every time I see them. So yeah, those have been my media mashups for the week.
Solid. See, Chad, that's what you're missing. Chad's not on TikTok. It's awesome.
The humor in it, I honestly feel like to some degree, I feel like a lot of it almost reminds me of like some Monty Python in a way that you see. It's like it's very like. I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but it's just very out there humor, very non-traditional. I feel like I don't know. I love what TikTok is doing for comedy.
This is going to be a weird comparison, but accounts like that almost feel like silly songs with Larry in VeggieTales, where it's like, and now a brief cutaway to a cowboy putting on pants starched 500 times, and then you just watch that for a minute, and it's like. Because it's not, the videos aren't long. Sometimes people like drag them out too long. With him, it's like, here's 45 seconds of him trying to get into these pants. Then you're on the rest of your day. Enjoy. Yeah. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, no.
All right. I'm going to give kind of a 2-for-1. Saturday, it was about 3:00, and my wife says, "Hey, I would like to go see The Devil Wears Prada 2 tonight." So I look and I see there's a showing at 7, and I'm like, perfect. That gives me just enough time to watch The Devil Wears Prada 1, a movie that I had not seen to that point. So I watched both of them back to back. Legacy sequels, as we know, is a tough thing to do well. It is very rare that you get a good legacy sequel. I thought they did a very good job with this one. I really enjoyed it. The first one I gave 4.5 stars. It's awesome. It's like, again, I have a unofficial series on my letterbox where it's like, oh, Josh watches a movie with a reputation for being a classic and is surprised when it's very good. And this is another one of those where I'm like, yeah, everybody says it's so good, but I don't know if it'd be my thing. Turns out my thing is good movies because it was really good and I really enjoyed it.
Casablanca?
Yeah.
It's so indie film.
It is the second franchise I've seen where we pretend Anne Hathaway is not one of the most beautiful women of all time because she's wearing a weird sweater. That and Princess Diaries. It's crazy that twice she's been in these movies. It's insane. But yeah, no, it's really good. The characters are all really good. Meryl Streep, who I truly haven't seen too many things with her. Everything I've seen with her, though, she is very good. And like she's got the reputation and she is so good in these movies. Personally, the one that kind of steals it for me is Stanley Tucci. Love his character. He's so good.
He always steals it.
Yeah.
Really, he's the best. But yeah, the second movie I think did a very good job at what these legacy sequels often mess up, where the characters were still the characters like you know and love from the first movie, despite the fact that they have clearly grown and time has passed. It doesn't, because too many legacy sequels, you either jump to they're entirely different people and they write it off to like, well, there's been so much time, or they're exactly the same. Not a thing has changed in the 20 years in between. And this really felt like, oh, you've seen how all of them have grown in their respective paths that they took in those years. And it was good. I would say my wife, who loves the first one, was not super impressed with it. She thought it got a little boring towards the middle, and I can kind of see that. But I just thought it was pretty good. I will say I would like to start a petition to say that all movies are forced to use a mid-2000s soundtrack forever. Because the needle drops in that first one are so good. And then we cut to this one and it's all this like modern music. And I love modern music. I love modern pop music. I'm all about it. Lady Gaga has a song in this movie and I was like, it's awesome. That said, the movie nostalgia of that era of music being put in is so good. It does suffer also a little bit from the fact that every movie shot post 2017 looks exactly the same because they use the same shitty lighting for everything, and it's a major bummer that way. But overall, I would definitely recommend, if you've seen the first one and you liked it, go see the second one. If you haven't seen either of them, watch them. They're very good. Yeah, definitely recommend.
I'm glad you watched it because I had seen. I don't think I've ever seen the full movie all the way through. My sister one year got it for Christmas, and it was like a favorite of hers, so it was like always on. So I've always seen enough of it where I knew it was a good movie. Just one that I just was like, I'm not into the subject enough to get into it. But then when the new one came out and I saw the trailers, I kept thinking like, is it time to watch it? So now that you've said that, I'm like, I think it might be time to watch it because I kept seeing the Cerulean scene also come up on TikTok, and I'm like, you know, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll come across a TikTok account that has it all in like 1 minute clips. Right? That's sometimes
you just keep scrolling and you just keep doing. There are a few movies I've seen, although they get to like the third act and then they just stop, and I'm like, now I'm Googling what website can I watch this shitty firefighter movie on. And it
happened like twice for me with the same movie with Ford vs Ferrari, and I get like so far in where I was finally like, just put the goddamn movie on.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my my mashup for the week.
Do you want to lead into the?
Yeah, sure.
I'm making the list.
being that we're watching all these movies, we are being exposed, I think, to more and more content that we haven't seen and would like to see, some upcoming, some old. So we're going to do this segment where we talk about things that we would like to watch in the future and potentially, depending on how we feel, discuss more on the podcast. So, Chad, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So Josh brought this up before we started recording, and I was like, "Ah, shit, I don't know what to say." And then I realized I watched the trailer for The Odyssey that's coming out in June or July. And so as you were kind of talking about your media mashup there, I was like, "What Nolan movies haven't I seen?" And so Memento, I haven't seen, and Tenet, I haven't seen Tenet, and surprisingly, I haven't seen Inception.
What?
Scene of Nolan's.
The Dark Knight and Interstellar.
I feel like those are.
I saw Dunkirk. I saw The Prestige.
I was about to say, I feel like those are his 3 main movies, but I was like, he's got so many movies, so you could. Good ones. I think you should watch Inception first. I don't know. I think Inception is my favorite movie.
I turned it on and I fell asleep about 2 minutes in. It was at like 3 a.m, so like it wasn't like a fault.
Inception?
Yeah.
Yeah, be careful with that.
I know. Maybe this is all part of it.
It sounds like
you're still in that sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
You're gonna wake up and you're gonna be 48 minutes. Like you're gonna be like, you said you fell asleep 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
You're gonna be 6 minutes in when you wake up.
Oh shit! God damn it. Maybe not to bring politics into it, but maybe I'll have changed everything that's happened, and I'm just in hell right now.
Maybe you'll be the one who gets to blow past it.
Yeah.
How much time did I just spend down here? 50 years past.
Yeah, but so I watched the trailer, and I kind of am afraid to watch trailers because I tend to give too much away. I don't say that this does because, well, first of all, I don't know the full Odyssey story. I haven't read the book or anything. But I don't feel like this trailer gave everything away. I did see something on Blue Sky, I think, that kind of gave away the whole story. But that's not the fault of the trailer. But
I don't know about.
I feel like Nolan
for Inception.
No, for the Odyssey.
I feel like Nolan probably isn't giving away too much, especially and I feel like at this point he's got the control. I'm sure. I feel like he's not, especially for the Odyssey. I feel like he's not giving anything away.
Yeah.
Also, did we not read the Odyssey in a class we had together?
Was it freshman year?
I thought in Skeltis's class we went through the Odyssey, like in class out loud, to where it's not like, yeah, but I didn't read it. Like I thought we went through it.
I don't remember. I blocked most of that class out. Besides, there's one story that I'll always remember, but most of that class. So yeah. I tend to like Nolan films. I just need to watch Inception. Maybe one day we'll watch it for this show.
I feel like if you're not ready for Inception, though, you should. I feel like was that. What did you say, John?
I was just gonna say a lot of people don't like Tenet very much. I think Tenet's awesome. I think it doesn't make the most sense. Shut up. It's cool.
I'm not against Tenet, and I love it for the plane scene into the cargo bay.
Right, let's stop there.
Because that was a real plane. But if I in those 3 Nolan films he mentioned, if I had to rank them, I would probably rank it Inception, Memento, and then Tenet in terms of my enjoyment. And I might even flip Memento and Inception if I saw them both again. But I think honestly, you might actually maybe start with Memento because I feel like it's a little like Inception's like really one where it's like I don't know. I feel like you really got to be in the mood for it. Where Memento is kind of more of I feel like it's a little more fast paced, more of it's not a traditional movie in the way that it's structured, but at the same time, I feel like maybe more, if I recall, in timeline and maybe even just concept, it feels a little more, at least compared to Inception, traditional. But I don't know. I feel like you maybe start with Memento.
Yeah, and there was somebody a podcast I listened to. It's not about movies, but one of the guys kind of works a little bit in Hollywood. He saw the first 10 minutes, I believe, of the Odyssey and said it was incredible. So,
my buddy got to go see like an early premiere when he was in LA, and he said the same thing. He was very excited about it.
Cool.
So, I probably will end up. We should maybe all plan to see that in theaters maybe together in July.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
maybe I think it's the 17th.
So pumped for that movie, so we will definitely be going to see it, and we would definitely be down for group viewing.
Is that going to be an IMAX one? Or are they doing something? I'm sure. Are they doing something? Or they did something special with that filming?
I think so.
I'm sure they did something with it.
Second Anne Hathaway reference. So there's that.
If we get 3, she might show up.
Come on, guys. The Dark Knight Rises. Ella Enchanted.
I heard a knock. Anyway,
Brandon, what are you going to talk about?
So,
I forgot about this.
I forget when I saw the trailer the first time for it. I think it was probably sometime around the holidays or something. I forget when I saw it, but I saw the trailer the first time, and then I was like, "Ooh, that looks kind of like." The first time I saw it, it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm going to see this in theaters," but it was more like, I'd be open to watching that if I'm in the right mood, if I'm in the right audience, I'd be down to, I'd be open to that. And then I saw it last time I went and saw. I want to say when I saw
the drama,
Project Hail Mary, I saw the trailer again, and I was
What's the name of the movie?
It is called The Sheep Detective. I was building up to it. But yeah, thank you. The Sheep Detective. The Sheep Detective. And I saw it again, and I thought, you know what, this this kind of feels like a feel-good movie. I kind of like the idea. They kind of reminded me a lot of some of the movies like Homeward Bound, Babe. Some of the, I feel like, movies from or at least my childhood. I'm sure you guys watched some of those. I've recently seen some reviews on TikTok, and people were talking about how it was more emotional than they were expecting, more about dealing with grief and loss than they were expecting. I just thought, well, that, good review. I was already kind of interested. It's got good reviews. Looks like Nicholas Braun is in it. I've been enjoying everything I've seen with him recently. He was great in both his characters in Saturday Night, and then obviously in Succession, which I will add also to this segment. I have to rewatch again because I keep seeing clips on TikTok, and I'm just like, oh, man, I'm going to go back into Succession. But anyway, I think honestly I'm going to I might end up seeing it in theaters just because I'm going to ask my sister if she wants to see it, just so I know it's something she's, to get her to watch, she's very particular on what she watches. So I know I can probably get her to watch that. So I might go see it on it. And we've been hanging out watching Traders on Tuesdays, and Tuesdays are the discount day at the theater. So might go for that, But anyway, so yeah, might end up seeing that in theaters soon.
All right.
What are you looking forward to, Josh?
So I just saw a trailer for a upcoming biopic. And now there's been a lot of biopics. I'm kind of a sucker for most of them, except Bohemian Rhapsody, which I think is a bad movie.
Thank you.
Apparently, Walk Hard. Oh no, you liked it this time.
I gave it a pod. I gave it 4 stars.
I forgot.
But there's an interesting one coming up called Tony, which stars Dominic Sessa, who's a young actor I really enjoy. I say young. He's probably younger than me, which is a bummer.
We could start saying young again.
Yeah. But it's called Tony, and it's about Anthony Bourdain. Someone I was always a big fan of his show. I really enjoyed him as a personality. I have his book. I've never read it, but because that's the thing I do. I buy books and then I start reading it. And my ADD is like, you gotta stop. We can't do this.
You're good because I'm gonna interrupt you, but go on Audible. Find it on Audible. He narrates it. It is worth that. It's excellent. It's a great book. If you worked in the restaurant you have, it's even better. And his narration is. I can't recommend a book enough. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's just like he was the man, and it's such a bummer that we lost him. You know, the guy's been through a lot. It's not shocking, but it's he's just an interesting dude who I was a big fan of, and I'm a big fan of the actor playing him. I know a lot of people are like, he would fucking hate this, and it's like, yeah, but he'd also be kind of like, hell yeah. Like secretly, I think he'd be.
It'd be a mix. Yeah, I'm sure he'd. Yeah. I definitely. I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, like he'd be proud of it, but outwardly he'd be like, guys, really? But yeah, I think it looks cool, and he's someone I'm always interested to learn more about. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it comes out later this year. But
I saw the side by side pictures too of like him younger and the actor, and it's like they did it again.
Have you guys seen The Holdovers?
Yes, I think I recommended that to you.
Yeah, it's the kid from The Holdovers who's playing him.
He's so good in that.
He's so good in everything I've seen him in. Even Now You See Me, Now You Don't. A bad movie.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see when it came. When I remember when it came out.
The Holdovers will come up around the holidays. That's just like spoilers. It's I watched it 2 years ago and thought, yeah, it's all right. And then time went on, and then I watched it again this past Christmas, and it hit me like a truck. Like it just connected this time in a way it didn't the first time. And now it's like, yeah, every year I'm going to be watching this around Christmas for sure. But yeah, I'm excited for Tony, and I think we're good to move on
to the film of the week.
Indeed, take it away, Chad.
Yeah, so the prompt for this was a powerhouse performance that not many people talk about, and when I came up with it, I was thinking about John Goodman, and after watching it yesterday, I was like, kind of all three of them are incredible in different ways, and I like has been mentioned a couple times on here. I'm not a big horror guy, like at all. And so how I even like watched this movie, like why did I even go see it in the theaters, no less? This was back when I watched pretty much every non-horror movie that came out in theaters in like 2015, 2016. I saw most of them. And it was also around the time that I was very into like movie review YouTube channels, specifically like Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman. And they were both like, this movie is incredible. And I was like, they're like, it's not, gross out horror. It's more psychological, I guess you'd say. And I was like, okay. So I went and watched it, and I had the same feeling I had then at the end, where I was like, I forgot this is a Cloverfield movie at the end. And I was like, oh, yeah, that happens. This time, the ending lasted longer than I remembered. This is probably the third or fourth time I've seen it, but I thought that the last escape was a little shorter in my memory, but I wasn't complaining watching it. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys, what do you think was the scariest, creepiest, most terrifying part to you guys?
So truthfully, and I've been kind of on like a horror binge this past year and a half, because I wasn't super into horror. I was talking to you about this on PlayStation the other day, until I found, well, my buddy recommended a couple years ago, the YouTube channel Dead Meat. And I started watching through the kill counts and everything, and it gave me like a more appreciation for like the things you can do with horror. And this year especially, I was like, I want to be more well versed. So genuinely not being like, oh, I'm not scared of this, but there was nothing in this that truly felt like really scary. It was incredibly tense and very suspenseful. But yeah, I don't think it ever really reached that point of like scary for me.
For me, I will say also, I saw the first one in theaters. I was very much aware that this was supposed to be a sequel in some way, or which really seems more of like a parallel story happening at the same time, which I love. I absolutely love that they did that. I really think in terms of sequels, this is one of like in terms of concepts, changing it up. I really, going completely from found footage to like an actual film. I love what they did. I would say I would agree with Josh in terms of I didn't really find it scary, but in terms of like what moment would get me would be, and this kind of when I talk about like, yes, the best performance was John Goodman, and I wasn't really crazy about the other two because the first moment that would have gotten me was waking up chained in a basement with an IV in my arm, and her reaction to it. I mean, I've had worse reactions to to coming in at 15 minutes before close and finding a delivery order, than she did for like she's like, I gotta get my phone, and it's like I'd be screaming. I'd be like, what, I don't know. I would not be calm at the moment, like just like, oh, where's my I should call someone, like who. There's so many more, I don't know. So I was kind of I would say that moment for me would be the most, like that initial, like what's going on, because, really what I think held me back from being, what really held me back from being afraid of anything was, I mean, no, there were tense moments, but it was two things. Number one was obviously recognizing it's John Goodman, although he plays great, he could still pull off crazy killer, but I recognize the main actress, Mary Elizabeth Winston from Sky High, great movie. So that was one thing, and I knew it was the thing was John Goodman is like 85% kind of right, in terms of he's not 100% got the facts right, but like there is an alien attack. Mm-hmm. They did just spray something that is poisoning in people and is poisoning the air. And we do need to be in this bunker. And, like, I'm kind of almost like, from the point of just being like, if he didn't chain her up, if she had just woken up with the IV and maybe the door was just locked because it was just, that's how the doors are, I feel like he probably could have gotten away with whatever weird plan he had. Because like, he's like, and the timing of, honestly, what I love is when we're watching a movie that I've seen before, but I haven't seen it in so long. So I think I remember the whole movie, and then scenes happen. Then I'm like, oh shit, I forgot, like when she goes up to escape and the woman comes to the window. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, damn. And she's like clearly been fucked up by something. It's like, I mean, he's kind of right at that point. And the weird thing that he does with, don't get me wrong, the weird thing that he's done in the past with killing probably some young girl in the town, which is horrible and fucked up. But I do actually want to bring up the question is, if you're in nuclear apocalypse, how important, I guess, is that new information when it comes to being now, I've got to, it's like everyone, I feel like it was like, if it was like they found out this information and it was, we're pretty sure he's lying about the apocalypse thing, but it's like they'd already kind of been proven up as much as they could that the apocalypse was real. At least what he was saying was real. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I kind of was like, there was a part of me that was like, if this is like a real, like, like, we might need to ride this out a little bit more. This might not be the number one concern right now.
So before we get too far away from it, Chad asked us what the scariest part was, clearly leading to something. So before we get the conversation too far away, I want to go back to.
I apologize, Chad.
It's all right. It's so for me, the moment that made me think of that question was actually kind of right after what Brennan said, but it's when he hands her or like tosses her the key to the handcuffs. It's like, oh, he's not like. It felt like he was more like, oh, this is for your safety. He like getting up and being free would cause more damage to you than being
like
tied up at first and then being told what happened and you calm down and then you can be free, sort of thing. You see the logic?
Yeah.
And
the world just ended. Like you might need to. You might not be.
You're gonna need to process that.
Yourself.
Yeah, and so Howard, John Goodman's character, I think he only really makes one mistake in the course of the movie, and that's telling Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character that girl was his daughter. Because if he just says, "Hey, this was a girl in the town," he probably doesn't die at the end.
Yeah,
like it, and I don't think that he had a plan. I don't think that it was like eventually I'm going to kill these two. Like I don't think that was his plan. I think his plan was to ride it out with them.
Yeah,
but
he could have just killed them. At least at least the guy. He could have made it so she never saw the guy.
Right. So he could have. It was like. There's this unspoken thing that something happened when he was growing up or something that caused him to be this psychopath that needs this urge for control and something like that. But at most turns he's kind of in the right. It's just he overreacts to things.
But I mean, at the same time though, because here's the one thing I was going to actually when I mentioned earlier how I was going to, after I watched the movie, I was going to text the group because I was like, what in God's name was Emmett thinking when he confessed to him, I'm thinking about grabbing your gun?
I think I know what it is, but
it's just like, because I feel like saying like, we're thinking about trying to get out of here. We're thinking about trying it out our own out there. How could I don't really feel like, I mean, like that would have maybe been the moment where you could really test it of like how, like, because us just leaving and saying like, we're leaving, we won't come back, even if it's bad out there type thing would be the kind of the test of like, is he trying to keep us here? Or is it really, he's like, no, like, I'm trying to save us all. You guys should be fortunate. And he's like, you guys should be grateful. Like to some degree. Yeah, actually, at least the one guy who asked to be down there, she maybe, she didn't ask for it, whatever. But, but like it is, I don't know. I did keep, I was wondering kind of just like, if he does assume, I guess to assume that he did kill the person, the girl, like, is it like, I'm not saying not to excuse it, but it's like, this is a whole different world and society we're living in right now. When we're in the bunker during the apocalypse, and especially with the man with the gun and the keys to the bunker, we might need to just lay low for a minute. And saying like, I'm going to like, just like when he shoots Emmett, I'm kind of like,
so what I think that's kind of referring to, because there's a lot of foreshadowing, I guess I saw, but when Emmett and Michelle are talking about kind of like their regrets in the past, and she's like, they kind of have this sort of shared, I wish I could have stood up for somebody sort of thing. I think that's hit Emmett saying, hey, this is my time to do it.
No, he definitely was trying to take the heat off her, but it's like,
because he knows that there's only one suit that only fits her, so she's the best chance to get out of here.
I think I'm in between. Chad is for sure right, And I feel like for sure, if you're in that situation, you're going to just sort of ramble and like not think clearly. But I'm also fully with Brennan of like, you fucking idiot. What, like, you could have said 1,000 other things that would have been better. But I also think in that moment, you know, with the fear that he's probably feeling in that moment, like, you're gonna mess up.
But from John Goodman's point of view, it's almost like, you know, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not like.
Told me we're in an apocalypse situation, and now you've just told me, you know, I got this weird thought. I might grab your gun
and like tie you up.
You know, and just you know, and like take and be the guy in charge. Like,
I don't think that's a mistake on John Goodman's part. If I was in his position, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's two things that happened that were like, and one of them I think was I'll say bullshit for the movie, and the second one I'm not gonna say bullshit. I think it's just it was the character being it was the character, you know, it was the character just bullshit. So I think it wasn't like a flaw, but I just was like, when I heard it, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Which was the first thing, which I'm saying bullshit for the movie, which was when she pulls out a fucking matchbook from her fucking jean pockets.
It was in her purse, I thought.
This is 2016, right? In this movie, or is it a different year? But like a matchbook, I don't know. I was.
Well, when did the first Cloverfield come out?
Matches.
She did have an iPhone.
She had an iPhone, and then she pulls out a matchbook that had 2 matches left. Who the hell is using a matchbook that committed to a matchbook? A single matchbook.
Wait, are you talking when she's being pulled up into the ship at the end?
No, when she sets a fire in the beginning of the movie. She goes back.
That's in her purse.
Oh yeah, she goes back to her stuff that's on the. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it is. She had it on her.
That doesn't bother me.
It bothers me.
It just seems like, you know,
it bothered me a little bit.
Maybe also just because she, as like a person in real life, feels like very hipster aesthetic-y to me, and I'm like, I could totally see you smoking hand-rolled cigarettes with a fucking matchbook. But
I don't know.
But that's just me projecting. You got to think about who they cast, Brennan.
True. I mean, I was telling myself when she was underreacting in the beginning of the movie, at least my point of view, she was underreacting. I was like, well, Brennan, you know, she clearly has communication issues. She's just left her fiance to start the movie, so like that, you know.
Just left Bradley Cooper on red. That was messed up to do.
Was that who plays the fiance?
Yeah,
I didn't catch that. I did not catch that.
I'll say one question I almost sent the group because I was like. And then I'm like, no, I'll save it. So, again, it's sort of like what Brendan was saying. The scene, she goes up to escape. The woman comes up, all burned, coughing, like dying from the air, whatever. At that point, I don't know if there's anything John Goodman could say or do that would make me want out. Yeah. At that point, I'm fully bought in, and I'm like, no, he's telling the truth. I saw it with my eyes.
Buddy.
Yeah, but that's why she goes out in the suit.
Monopoly. Right, but I mean, like, maybe I'm just too relaxed with stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that might have been red flags that I just kind of be like, hey, man, he's a weird guy, but he saved my life at that point. Because at first, I would, too, be skeptical of, like, did he save my life or did he
I'm gonna tell you right now,
at that point, I'm like, yeah, he did what he said he did.
When I show the photo to Emmett, and Emmett goes, that's some girl that went missing. That's not his daughter. I'm saying, well, he probably meant daughter figuratively. And then I'm putting the photo away. And then when I'm finding the help thing, and then when I'm finding the bloody help sign, I'm just thinking to myself, well, you know, it was probably just, you know, he needs to have an SOS thing on here just in case, you know, puts it in ahead of time, you know. I'm just like, you know, after the scene where, you know, I'm doing whatever it takes to be like, we're gonna hang out in this bunker. He said 1 to 2 years.
So this is me being
like,
stupid
what,
as a
Monopoly
viewer.
Games?
Yeah. When she went up and saw the help scratched in, it took me a minute to be like, which side is that scratched in on?
I was, for real. When it was taking her touching it and being like, that's got to be what that means, but I still am not buying it.
I thought she was going to pull her hand back and she'd like see the blood on her hands. And I think she does later. But at that moment, she just touches it and then moves on. And
I assumed it was her feeling like that. It was the texture that it was ingrained.
Yeah,
from her,
she says that it was scratched out from the inside.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but at the moment, I was like, "What is?" Because in my mind, I don't think I would have thought that far. I would have been like, "Oh shit, someone on the outside needed help." Another reason to stay put.
But like, I also want to point out how much of like that also could be its own film of a kidnapper with a apocalypse bunker who's kidnapped somebody. You know what I mean? Like that is like, I almost feel like
we need to
the aliens
save that.
Take away from it. Take away from the
that's
horror.
Like 19 seasons of CSI.
But I feel like the horror, the aliens take away from the horror because I'm like, no, I mean John's not perfect. He's not perfect, but guys.
Yes. So to go off of that,
the first Cloverfield.
do you guys know a little bit about the backstory of this movie?
No.
Say it again.
Do you know anything about the backstory about this movie?
Like the creation of the movie itself, or do you mean like the first Cloverfield?
The creation of this movie itself.
I do not.
So originally, this movie, like the original script, had nothing to do with Cloverfield.
I didn't think so.
So I forget if it was called like Underground or Bunker or something like that. But I forget if the studio brought it to J.J. Abrams or if J.J. Abrams brought it to the studio. I forget which one. But either way, they decided, hey, you're probably not going to get this movie made just on its own. If you tie Cloverfield to it, you will. So that's...
Who wants to see this? But there's aliens in it, potentially.
Yeah. So
I don't think the movie's worse.
No, it's like confirmed. It's not like it's conspiracy theory. Like J.J. Abrams has said it.
I like the aliens at the end. I will say the one thing, if I was like, if I was in the editing room, I probably wouldn't have had the scene with the woman that early. Because I think the biggest, like the part I was the most into when watching this, and granted, I know it's Cloverfield. I know that he's telling the truth. There's bad shit going on outside. But the watching those two characters trying to like figure out, is this real? Like, are we sure? That I think was the strength. And Emmett said he saw the flash, but even when she pressed him a little bit, he was like, well, I guess I didn't see like the poison. I just saw like the flash in the distance.
But it's still odd that I feel like almost Emmett didn't add enough, because at the same time, I'm just like, him being there also kind of took away from it, because it was like the idea. I understand that like maybe he didn't have the best details, but it's like he wouldn't have the best details. And it was also something that like, I mean, unless they made it like it's brought up later that like he has a habit of just coming back and trying to get into this bunker. He just wants to be down in the bunker, like, because to my thinking of like, well, if he came down here, if he came knocking on this guy's door, this guy's not I don't think this guy is some friendly,
Well, he said he helped build it.
Well, so he there was danger enough to where he thought about, I've got to go to the bunker.
Yeah.
But I
guess I don't know the complaint.
Had they played a bit more into her not knowing whether it was real or not?
Yeah.
I think and I really like this movie. Spoilers, I really enjoyed this one. But I think it would have added a little bit to it,
like,
and built up the stakes a bit more.
I think almost if you had taken out the Emmett character, or maybe just kept Emmett where Emmett was already in there, where he wouldn't have known whether or not something happened. But like, and then you made it so the woman on the outside didn't appear until maybe she appeared over the help. Like when she was looking out the help window, maybe then on that window she appears. So it's like both getting information that you got to get out, but also information that you got to stay in. But like, I get the idea of being like,
I can see that.
But I get the idea of like wanting to extend the biggest horror of, is he fucking with me?
Yeah.
Is he lying to me?
Because I think that, like I said, there wasn't any moments that really scared me. I think as a concept, that was the scariest part of being in that situation and not knowing, is this real or is this guy like playing with his food before he kills. Like, you know, like you don't know if Emmett and him had a plan, and they took her specifically to kill her in this bunker. You don't know. But when you see the woman
whose face is like skin is falling off, begging to be let in, and then you don't let her in because you believe what you're seeing and hearing now, it's almost like I almost think we gotta let the weird thing with the teenager in the past slide right now. You know, as fucked up as it sounds, like you might need to just hang out in this bunker right now. You know?
I think another thing that could have added to that too is with Emmett, if he was more in line with John Goodman's character, whose name I just lost, like
Howard.
If he was like much more like 100%, like on the same page, because the fact that like Howard's sort of antagonistic to both of them to an extent is just his personality kind of like that off-putting.
I think they could have made him more of like a sidekick to Howard instead of he seemed more of an antagonist.
Yeah.
In a way.
He seems like sort of like a weird, almost neutral third party. Yeah.
Yeah. Very confident.
I think had he been on either side more, it could have worked a little better. It's gonna sound crazy when I give this the rating I'm gonna give it later, but like I feel like there were a couple little things that could have, especially with Emmett's character, that could have pushed it one way or another. Because if he was like a sidekick to Howard, and then Mary Elizabeth, her character, who's again names just not, I'm not
Michelle.
If
there's only 3 characters,
I know, and I can't remember any of them. But if you know, he was like Emmett was fully aligned with Howard, and then Michelle starts sort of slowly chipping away that trust, and then it leads to him, you know, like basically sacrificing himself for her at the end. I think that would have been a little more of a like.
Yeah,
I could see that. I could see how that would work better, but I think the decision that he's with Howard until the picture is also a fine choice. Maybe it's not the best choice, but it's a good one.
Yeah, I don't think it's like an awful thing. It didn't like ruin the movie or even really take me out of it much. It was just after the fact, as I was thinking about it, those are the things. As I was watching it, it didn't really stand out one way or another. But yeah, like thinking back on it, I'm like, you know, that would have been a little,
another thing,
a little stronger.
I don't know if Emmett was so much like antagonistic to Howard. Is more he dealt with Howard. It's
I the other way. I think Howard was antagonistic to Emmett. I didn't think he was antagonistic. I think like, you know, more of a neutral third party of just like happy to be safe, don't care who wins.
I just think that the being neutral was, while it would have been, you know, like in this scenario, being neutral really stands out. I think if he had been he's Howard's sidekick, or he's in here, but he has no information about the outside. So he's not really any help to her in that regard. I think would have been a little differently. I guess my biggest thing was just like, I found that like when it was confirmed about what's outside is true, kind of some of the fear on the inside, I was kind of just like, all right, well, let's find a way to live with this. This guy's not completely unreasonable, at least, you know, unless you're a teenage girl, I'm sure. But one line, I was just saying that the line that I was like, get the fuck out of here, was when they're sitting under there, and Howard, they hear like this constant rumble above them, and he's like, oh, that's another country's army. I can tell because I was in the Navy for 14 years. You can tell by the rumble what
he does say aliens.
Which country's army is above you? Get the fuck out of here.
He just says the Russians are aliens. It's not like he was like, it could be the North Koreans.
Well, no, he says it's an army, but he says he mentions that, I believe he mentions it's not ours.
Yeah, he doesn't specify who. He's just like, it's not us. He doesn't specify
who, but it's enough to know that's not us. I know, because I know the rumble, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I know the rumble underground because I was in the Navy. I just think, Adam.
I agree, but I think that was like a good character point for him. Like that added to his character of being like, that's how in deep he is about this, where he's just justifying it through whatever method he can.
I agree in terms of like, I think it works for the character. The character being a bullshitter, kind of, to a degree. I think it works for the character. I was just in myself when I was watching. I was like, I was like, if I was sitting in the other room, I'd be like, get out of here. You cannot. Anyway, the one of the lines at the very end of the movie that I thought was just, where have I heard that before? When she decides to turn around and go to Houston, and the radio's like, we're fighting and we're winning. I was like, oh, where have I heard that line before? Have I hearing that now in 2026? I'm like, don't go. Don't go. We're losing badly then.
Go to Baton Rouge.
It is much worse than they're saying. There's no way that this is a true accurate
Actually,
report.
maybe just take the aliens. Maybe just accept the aliens. And, that might be the best case scenario.
Yeah, it's funny when you think that this movie took. I mean, I'll say this. I know it probably didn't because it probably goes off the first movie, but let's just say this movie took place in 2016. I don't know. Worst timeline? I haven't decided yet. I think the jury's still out.
We might need 2 more Cloverfield movies before we can.
I gotta see the third. I gotta see the third Cloverfield, and then I'll make the decision. Like, actually, you know what? This is the world.
Speaking of that third Cloverfield, real quick, I want to clear up. I was mistaken when I said, didn't they shadow drop this movie? They didn't. The Cloverfield Paradox, the third movie, it was, I forgot what Super Bowl it was, but before the Super Bowl, there was a teaser for the movie. And then, they're like, the trailer will be coming soon. And then in the third quarter of the Super Bowl, they played the trailer. And at the end, it said, available on Netflix. And then, it went to fade into the date. And then it just said, now. And it was, immediately on Netflix the day they premiered the trailer. And it was fucking crazy. I could not believe that they were, there's a fun thing when games will get shadow dropped pretty often because they take so long and release dates are more unpredictable. So they'll just wait, and then they'll be like, hey, we have a new game and we're going to put it out in a week and a half. And even, hey, we're putting it out tonight. For a movie, I had never seen anything like that. And I was pretty stoked on it.
It feels weird for the Super Bowl too.
It's a big franchise.
Yeah, for the third one, the first 2 movies were really, I'd say, really good. I mean, I honestly kind of feel like it deserved better.
Yeah, it probably deserved better than the third movie, which again I liked the second half of, but overall it was just okay.
Better or worse than Ice Cube's War of the Worlds?
Oh, no, nothing's better than that.
Better, but not as enjoyable.
Interesting. That's a shame.
One more little knock I have on this movie. So she gets out of the bunker, starts moving, and then instantly it becomes kind of unwatchably dark. Like a bad kind of dark where I'm I thought my phone, because I watched the part of this on my phone at the gym.
It might have been your phone.
And no, because I had the brightness all the way up, and it was good to go. I just think the way they filmed the night scene, was a little too dark for my liking. But
try watching it again on a TV.
I rewatched it later on the computer to just be like, was I crazy? And it still was just a little too dark for me.
Just try watching it on a TV.
No, I refuse.
Watch it in IMAX, you loser.
Oh, okay.
Put it down. Do it the way they intended. Like J.J. Abrams.
This is it's a little thing. I like to pull letterbox reviews that I enjoy. This one's from Eddie Burback, a very well-known YouTuber and everything, but his review made me laugh. He just said, guy like me would never tell a woman what she can and can't do like that. In fact, I would vote for her to be president of the bunker if I could. Just stupid, but I thought it was funny. That's your big takeaway from the movie. You just watch it. I don't like how he's talking to her.
Correct me if did she when they were talking about their regrets? Correct me if I'm wrong. Her regret had nothing to do with the engagement.
I don't think she regrets that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, not saying she has to regret leaving, but wouldn't that mean she regretted the engagement? She left it. I don't know. This probably we could have gotten some more context from the thing that we started with the movie with, and then get another weird backstory that was also unresolved. I don't know. I would have, I thought we could have gotten a little more context there about what we opened with.
I guess I don't think that was the point of the movie. So
no, not at all. And it seemed like there might have been more than one point of the movie. But I think the main point of the movie, actually, I wrote down right here, is even in the apocalypse, roommates matter.
Valid.
Because they were like, he did what is like you even in the apocalypse, you will get canceled. They will just say, you know what, we don't want to be in the bunker with you anymore. I didn't know that was an option. This is the bunker.
One final thing I kind of want to ask you guys: do you think that Howard is lying about the cause of the accident?
No, because I think there were things he could have done that would have implied that a bit more. Like if he had been more creepy to her, or more like, we have to repopulate, like, something like I could see being like, oh well, no, he felt like he needed a woman in the bunker. Based off of the way he was sort of like manic about it all, and so over the top cautious, and I believe that he heard about an attack and thought, oh fuck, I gotta get to the bunker now, and just cruised, but felt like, oh my gosh, I might have just killed this woman. I can't leave her here injured to die to whatever's coming. So I believed his reasoning.
I think they do set up to where I think I think it's you could believe both. I think I agree with you, Josh. But I think you could believe both. I think a couple of thoughts I had was, number one, I feel like one thing I was thinking too was, they mentioned that John Goodman. I think Emmett mentioned that John Goodman's character had something to do with satellites when it came to the Navy.
Yeah,
that made me think that maybe he had an idea. Maybe he had seen some shit, or had some pre-knowledge of what possibly could come out. Could be out there. So maybe that would be even why he built. Like I said, why he was compelled to build the bunker to where it drove his family away. It sounded like, or maybe that was killing the schoolgirl. I don't know. You never know what your family will be cool with. But
maybe this is me filling in some gaps that aren't there. But do you think that it was his truck at the gas station?
I do think it was a truck at the gas station. Just because I think you're meant to not be sure, because it makes you think like he could have been stalking her, saw her, and wanted her for the bunker. He could have accidentally been in a panic and crashed and felt bad and picked her up. But I think even a third thing is possible, considering that the aliens were real. And we saw what happened just to the people in this movie. We saw what happened in the first movie. We know to some degree that other cities are under attack. I mean, you could argue even, is he in the wrong if he's just like, I'm going to run this person off the road. I'm going to save them because I've got a bunker or whatever. It would be crazy. But like, is it the worst thing in the world if he ends up actually saving this person's life?
Yeah, it's not immoral.
That's a weird thing. But like, it's a very weird. No, it wouldn't be moral, because it would also be. I mean, but at the same time, you could.
No, I said immoral.
Yeah, no, it would be a very weird
gray
thing.
area.
Yeah, but
the gaps I'm trying to fill is that he sees her at the gas station. I'm not saying he stalks her before, but after he sees her at the gas station, stalks her after, says, "Hey, I need a daughter replacement in here," because he never treats her like a future wife, girlfriend, whatever. He's always this. You're my daughter. The scene with the charades, or not charades, but what's that game? But try to guess the word based on the other words.
I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
He saw her very young.
Right. So he's.
But like at the same time, though, I guess because I guess I'm thinking to some degree, if we go down that storyline, which I think works potentially because they set it up for that well, I think you could believe that, like, because he has her in the same shirt. You could argue that, she's got a similar hair color, style, complexion. Like, she could be another version of the girl that he had in the bunker. It could just be that, he might have not been, he might have just been grooming the girl at first that he had in the bunker. And she, before he had to kill her or something.
I think it's more likely that
be...
she killed herself at some point, and then he put the body in the acid.
I mean, I don't know. I guess
I didn't really consider that.
What?
I didn't really consider that as an option, but it's definitely possible.
I wasn't really thinking that either, but I also don't know if that matters because I feel like at that point, he's responsible regardless.
Yeah, I'm not saying it mattered. I was just saying it's an option.
But yeah, but I guess I don't know. I guess yeah, I don't know. I do wonder if I mean it could have even been that like he accidentally could have been a mixture of both. He saw her, he crashed, saw who it was that and then was like, I feel bad, and also bonus, she's a spitting image of what I'm looking for.
I'm saying it. I think there's a completely reasonable timeline where she, takes a different road or whatever, and he never runs into her and just lives in the bunker fine. It happened, the attack happened, and it just coincidence that she was there and just was like, okay, fits my bill. And
yeah, no, I definitely, I can, like I said, I think they play it well to where, even when she attacks him at the end, I'm kind of just like, I don't know, like, like, I understand that you're upset that he killed Emmett, but Emmett was in the wrong. I mean, like, I'm not happy Emmett died, but that's kind of what I don't like. I mean, like, as much as you can justify a killing in the apocalypse, because we do have to some degree throw out society's basic rules to some degree. I mean, well, also like at the same time though, if someone tells you I'm about to go for your gun, what is the proper movement? I mean, not saying to shoot them right there, but in this scenario, you're also trapped in a bunker with this person.
Can I just throw out what I thought was going to happen?
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought for sure it was going to get to a point where, like, say they're in the bunker and you see they're in there for a year, and then Goodman was going to come out and be like, all right, I've done the math. We don't have the supplies for 3 people to survive down here as long as we need to. Someone's got to go, and it's not going to be me. And then it was going to add that element of like, oh, fuck, them both trying to like win his favor. Obviously, that's not what happened.
But he keeps hinting at procreation. But also, we're not going to have a lot of people in society left. So,
I thought that's where it was going to go. That's not like a plus or minus for the movie because I liked where it ended up, and I was fine with it, how it all played out. I was so confident I knew what was going to happen because there was like a big focus on the beginning when he knocked over like some food, and at the beginning, like before you meet Emmett,
yeah, he knocks over a month's worth of food,
yeah, and he makes a big deal about like that's a fucking month of food you just cost us. And so I thought for sure that the amount of food they had was going to be a bigger factor later on. But it didn't, and that's fine. It's still good. Not that didn't like I know better. That might have been worse. Who knows?
I also will say this. I feel like it's a trope to some degree. I don't know. Maybe that's not the proper word. But I feel like movies have taught me that like any weapon that you try to use is what is going to kill you. And when he brings
the
that
wrestling rule, it's setting up the table in a wrestling match. If you set it up, you're going through it.
It's like every time someone's in a movie, he's like, "Oh, they've got a knife to bring a knife to a fight." Well, I guess they're gonna die by getting stabbed while holding the knife. That's almost guaranteed to happen. So when he dies by the acid, I'm just like, or not necessarily with that, but that was a big deal. Big deal. Also, here's the other thing I want to point out. Going through air ducts. When I did a couple summers of demolition, and we had some big air ducts. that we were taking out. Actually, at Central Michigan, was one of the first jobs we did. Some giant air ducts through the school we were taking out, and you're not crawling through these things. Like, these are so dirty and sharp and dark, and But yeah, it's
how old was the building you're in?
What was that?
How old was the building you were demoing?
It was, yeah, it was probably an older building. I would imagine.
Yeah, because the bunker's less than 5 years old, I'd say.
I don't know. It's always I don't know. I don't have the confidence to go scooting around an air duct. I
did think it was ironic that this was the suggestion, the episode where Brennan, you were talking about watching the videos of like cave divers and cave explorers getting stuck when he was like, you're going to have to go up. And if you get stuck, we can't get you out. So don't get stuck. I was like,
they totally could have got her out anyway.
I actually just started watching some of those videos again this past week. And it's, yeah, no, I mean, that's what I feel when I watch it. Oh, no. The one guy he was doing, he's like, well, it looks like I do the short straw. I got to go through the water.
That wouldn't be me drawing the short straw. That would be me drawing the go home straw, where I just go no, and I turn around and I leave.
Besides the danger to it, I feel the same way about that. This is what I felt about watching Free Solo, or really anything Alex Honnold does, which is what if though, like, you get halfway through and you're like, you know what? Not today. I'm
bored.
You know what? My hyperfixation's up. I'm done. I'm not in.
I always say it's the same thing as like UFC fighters for me, where I'm like, there's a chance I could be good at that. I'll never find out, because the thought of putting myself in those situations is insane. And I know, like, a lot of times it's not like, oh, everything in life was so good, and then I got into professional fighting. It's like I was getting in fights and thought, hey, I'm good at this. But like, for like the free soloing, there's no world. I don't care how easy regular mountain climbing is for me. There's no world where I'm like, let's try this without all the safety stuff. Like, it's nuts.
See, that's why I don't understand how Call of Duty didn't bring about world peace. Because once you were like, oh,
it's because all the people in charge had never played it.
True, and they don't.
Give it a couple generations, and maybe we'll move on.
I just because I'm just like, I play Call of Duty, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't. No, that's not a good idea at all. To go into this, do this for real. I've died many times this afternoon. Like.
Remember when Tango said that he would never watch, or he was reluctant to watch Breaking Bad because it promoted drug use, and I was like, you have no idea what this show's about.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Then, like, not too long after he watched it, now he watches it. That's like his comfort show.
And now he smokes crack.
I haven't watched Better Call Saul, but he says he swears on his life Better Call Saul is much better than Breaking Bad, and I'm like, I don't know if that's possible.
I don't think I would say it's better. It's enjoyable, and my only issue with it is I didn't finish it at one point, and then I forgot where I left off. And now every time I watch it, I'm like, it's not here because I've seen this before, and I can't get back to the place I was. But I do.
So we got anything else before we get to our ratings, or were you gonna say another thing about the movie, Brennan?
I think that's it. That's it. I don't have any more notes. Took very little notes this time. I wanted to be like more. I wanted more think about like topics or questions or things to talk about instead of like things I thought about. I guess the movie. But anyway.
Yeah. Same. I took no notes this time.
Just one page for me. Much less than my normal 6.
All right. So let's go through our ratings here. Chad, you want to kick off with your suggestion here?
5 stars. Like I said, I am not a horror person, and I would even question calling this a horror movie. But the last thing I want to say is I wish Dan Trachtenberg would make more movies, but that's it. What about Brennan?
I'm gonna give it a 4. I really liked how it was with a for this as a sequel, especially a handful of years later with the franchise that I feel like you weren't expecting a sequel from, particularly this type of sequel. I like that it did. I like that you really could watch it and be like, think two different things about kind of John Goodman's character. I feel like they kind of set it up to where it's like, well, yeah, you're not really 100% sure what his motive was, or if he was as bad as this. I mean, he probably killed that girl. That's probably sad. So that's probably fucked up. But that's almost definite. But outside of that, we'll set that to the side for now. We'll give him one. He gets one teenage girl. It's John Goodman. He's earned it. He's had a career, man. But anyway, so yeah, I'll give it a 4.
All right. I also am going to give it a 4. It's between a 4 and a 4.5 for me, but I think I'm going to settle on a 4. We didn't really talk about her too much. I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great. I'm a big fan of her in general, though, so I'm a little biased going in as I am with John Goodman. I love a good chance for an actor to just sort of crush a role, and I think they all did a really good job. And I thought the tension was great. I liked a lot of the decision making, even when, like we talked about with Emmett, every decision, even the ones where I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It was like, well, yeah, that's what would happen in this situation. It all felt very appropriate for the context it was in. We talked about it for an hour. I don't need to say my pros and cons again. 4 stars.
That last thing reminded me. What one problem I have in horror movies is that every character just makes the worst decision possible. And I felt that Michelle in this movie, I don't think there's a decision she makes that I wouldn't have made. And I don't know. I just appreciated that.
You heard that. Chad would have flirted with Emmett to try to get it mad.
I mean, I'm not going to say what I would have done to John Goodman to stay or get out of that bunker. I'm not sure how.
You're acting like that's a negative. I would definitely have.
I would have too. John Gallagher's a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
Right. So, are we moving to my suggestions? Do we have a name for this segment, or do we just call it
the choice?
Is this the where you pick we pick which one we want to say? The other segment.
No, it's the I thought it's the prompts.
Oh yeah, no, this is where we choose our movie for next week.
Oh, you mean that, the prompts? Okay. I thought you meant like where here's Jaws from '79.
Oh no. All right. Yeah, I think we're gonna take a break from that one for a little as we explore some other segments we could do in its place. Just to give a little variety. This is for the viewer, not for you guys. We've had this conversation off air. Just to explore some other options and shake it up a little bit as we move on.
I swear to God, Josh. If you do the same thing twice, I'm gonna be so mad.
I'm not doing the everyone's the same movie, although that would be funny.
But we are doing the drama again.
Yeah. I got more to say.
I actually do, and that's mad.
Maybe at some point down the line, we'll do an episode where it's just like unspoken thoughts from the history, like all the movies we've watched. If there's anywhere it's like, there's a point I rewatched it and I want to bring up a random point. We just discuss random bits from all these movies. But not next week, because next week we will be talking about one of these. I have 5 prompts. I'm debating cutting one out. Okay, hold on. I'll cut out the dead air. Okay, I did not cut out a prompt. I just simply switched one. So, prompt 1. A movie I think is the best or at least my favorite of this unofficial trilogy, not franchise. A movie it took me, no, a movie it took me 2 business days to recover from. A low budget reboot that is far better and more interesting than its high cost predecessor. I almost read the name of the movie after that because I have the name of the movie in parentheses after. A movie I would like to see set a trend moving forward. And then a movie that I often forget about, but regularly reminds me it's one of the best of all time.
I'm not sure I have 2 business days.
I just imagine you watching it on a Thursday, then you're sad on Friday, then you're okay Saturday and Sunday, then you're sad again.
And I'm sad again on Monday.
I wanted to do the trend, but now I'm curious. Do I also want to see the greatest movie of all time? One of the greatest movies of all time.
I'm kind of leaning towards the trilogy. I'm kind of leaning towards the trilogy.
What do you mean by unofficial trilogy?
It's not like a trilogy of movies where there's no real connection, but there's 3 movies that are grouped together by one thing. That one I can explain more if it's picked.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, I guess that goes without saying.
I'll concede. I'll vote with Chad. We did the trilogy.
Okay. So I'm gonna do something I don't normally do and tell you what one of the other prompts was, because I was hesitant to put it on here at all. The movie that took me 2 business days to recover from is not a movie. It is an episode of a TV show, the Black Mirror episode Shut Up and Dance. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one.
I've only seen a couple, 2 or 3 Black Mirror episodes. Probably not. Which one is it?
It's the one where the kid gets blackmailed.
I don't remember that one, no. I remember the one I watched was John Goodman. Not John Goodman. John Hamm.
White Christmas? Yeah. Fucking awesome.
AI egg on the counter that shows a replica of you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
yeah.
How did they know an existential nightmare I had? How do they know this? That's funny they found this.
So the bit of a bummer news for Chad is that this is another horror movie.
God damn it! I was hoping it wasn't.
The trilogy it is a part of is just the trilogy of Jordan Peele movies that he has put out. And my personal favorite, and the one I think is the best, is Nope. I love this movie. I think it is incredible.
Oh, is that the alien one?
Well, let's not just go saying stuff.
I think I knew that already.
Okay. Yes. I think this movie rules. I think the acting is incredible. I think the story is awesome. I think it is it's a lot of fun. It may not have as much of the in-your-face commentary. I think all 3 of these movies are really good. In order, I would probably go Nope, Get Out, Us. Get Out is incredible. This one just has a little more
I would say I've seen it before, Chad, and I don't know if I'd classify it as I mean, not say it's not a horror, but it's more of maybe a heavy suspense, a dark suspense.
I wouldn't say it's much different than this movie, than 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think they're
honestly
pretty similar.
Maybe even a little more symbolic, a little more metaphorical in some ways. I think this one with the flashbacks, right, to the kid actor.
Is it more like Sorry to Bother You?
Not quite.
You know what? A little bit. Well, yeah, in a way. I wouldn't say
that was mostly a joke.
Sorry to Bother You. Is that the one? Am I thinking about that's the one with the telemarketer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the horse people.
Honestly, I don't want to say it's. I feel like there's similar messages in ways. But yeah, I feel like I don't think I don't think you'll watch it like I feel like it's a traditional horror. It's not like The Descent, or like a
I'll say I had a straight up horror movie on here and I took it off because I think it would have been like, I think there's a way that over time we ease you into horror a bit more. That was not the way to do it. That would have been a lot.
It's like a highbrow horror almost.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It doesn't. It's there's a horror feel because of the suspense and the tone, but at the same time, there's I don't know. It's almost like a horror movie, the same way Coen Brothers are crime movies.
I can see. I think especially though this one is I might say the least horror.
Yeah.
I think Us is definitely the scariest.
From what I know about Us, I will never watch that.
Yeah, that one. Still, if I watch it now, I still get freaked out thinking about it. Get Out is obviously it's very scary, but again, I think more like suspense.
I feel like it might be almost closer to like a mix of like Sorry to Bother You meets The Arrival.
I think it's a lot similar to Arrival. We can discuss more. I don't want to get too into it because I almost just went into like a whole speech about something about that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save it for next week because I just have a lot to say about this movie. I think it's really good. I think it really nails some of its themes, and I think it nails most of its themes. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie, and I think Chad, I think you will enjoy it. Again, I had a couple. Initially I had 8 on here, and 2 of them were like very intense. I'll tell you, one of the movies was Evil Dead Rise, and I was like, yeah, probably not. I'm probably not going to throw them into Evil Dead.
I would like to do the Evil Dead series. I haven't done that myself yet.
I love the Evil Dead movies. I think the newest one was fucking
like
awesome.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's a Spider-Man guy.
There's a new Evil Dead coming out soon, and I'm stoked. I'm very excited. I can't wait to see it. I love those movies. They're very fun.
I feel like I need to. I'm like, Spider-Man. I'm like, is there any way I can find a job that's just to watch movies? I need to catch up on so much.
Yeah, we market the hell out of this, I guess.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so I guess unless anybody has anything else, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think that's same.
Yep.
All right.
I've been Brennan.
I'm Josh.
I've been Chad.
And hopefully next week you say yeah to us talking about Nope.